Oh, I'm just sharing right now on Facebook, so um, I'll start pretty soon. My name is John H. You could call me King H. And King H is this is a Pan African platform, so I'll be talking about things concerning Pan Africanism and how Africa needs to move forward in order to shape the destiny of the African people globally. And as you can see, the title of my topic is the protests and riots that are happening across the United States. It's not just about George Floyd murder. It's more than that. George Floyd, in a way, is it's a face that's been used to express the frustration of the people in the blacks in America. So I think I'm pretty much gonna be on right now. Anyway, this how's everybody doing? My name is John, but you can call me King H. And this is a Pan African platform. I wanted to have a discussion because right now many people are having this discussion about the rights in the United States and how it concerns black people in the United States as well as black people all over the world. Many Africans in the continent have mixed feelings about what is happening because some are even saying that um, what is happening in the United States does not concern them because they have their own issues in Africa that they're facing. But the protests and riots that is happening inside the United States concerns Africa a lot because it all has to do with the white power structure that is affected that affects the entire African continent as a whole. Franks benefit from the white power structure through controlling the 14 countries that they have in Africa, or the 14 countries that they colonize. Same thing with the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth controls, I think, 13 countries, which is why the United Kingdom has decided to split from the European Union to concentrate more on the Commonwealth, since it has more countries, and they'll be controlling the Commonwealth. So they want to be it's still another structure for the white power to benefit from black people. And when you want to talk about rights that are happening, when you're talking about the rights that are happening inside United States, I don't know, across the entire United States, it goes way beyond just what is happening. It goes beyond 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, beyond up to 400 years. What African Americans have been going through is a system that was created by whites. And the whites, um, blacks are not only suppressed in the United States, they're suppressed all over the world, not just only in the United States. And even China, which is in Asia, also does they do that. Even in the continent of Africa, they do that. So white supremacy is a system that was created by whites, but it benefits other races as well. It benefits Asia, it benefits Arabs, it benefits um, all races that are non-black or non-African. It benefits them. So it is a system that has been established for more than 400 years since it began when the first white came to Africa and took blacks out of Africa and decided to turn them into slaves and send them all across different parts of the world, including the United States, Jamaica. You know, all in Central and North America, you have blacks that were taken out and brought to those part of the world. So it is a system that was put in place to benefit whites, and every other Arabs also did their own share of slavery with blacks when they were in Africa, and they still do till today. Um, many blacks have been maltreated all over Arab countries. A couple of days I saw a lady that was burned. I mean, that a lady that they threw acid all over her face and destroyed her face in an Arab nation. And even in some of the African countries, Arab African countries, slavery still continues. So it is a system that's been established, and non-Africans benefit from that system, especially whites. And this is something that Black Americans they've gotten most of the harsh end of white supremacy in different forms, through from slavery um, through now. And to my perspective, to my point of view, white supremacy is not going to end. It only evolves. It only changes. And even after the rights, if African Americans are not careful, they will not gain anything out of it. There have been many rights. The United States was created during rights um, and protests. It's always been, and it's gonna always be like that. When the people become so frustrated with the system, the rate at which blacks have been killed in the United States is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, at one point they considered blacks to be three-quarters of a human being. That idea in some white people have not changed. They see themselves as dominant race, and they're going to do whatever to stay on top. But it's up to blacks in the world to unite if they really want to see change, because there have been many riots. The rising started. There have been many protests. The protests didn't start today, and it's not going to end today, because so long as the system is in place, nothing really would change. So as I was saying, the protest really is not about the killing of George Floyd. The protest really is about the amount of people who have been killed every year. In 2019, about 1,909 people were killed. In 2018, about almost nearly 1,000 people were killed by police officers, unarmed people. In 2017, about 1,100 people were killed. So if you give that, if you calculate that, an average every year, 1,000 people is killed by police. Every year, at least 1,000 people is killed by the police, and it's gone to a point where protests are to cover up upcoming what? The protests and riots that are happening in the United States is orchestrated. I mean, somebody is behind it. I will say this: somebody is behind it, because people are frustrated to a point where they only have to release that anger, that frustration. But the way this protest turned into riot is something that is somebody else is behind it, and at the end of it, if the African Americans are not careful, they will not gain anything out of it, which means that another 10, 20 years 30 years, there will be still more protests and riots, and nothing will happen because that's white supremacy. White supremacy doesn't change; it just evolves into something else. So long as, the person in power can control and benefit from the system, they'll say whatever they have to say to move forward. And it's gonna be a very uh, difficult when cops is it's not white, it's the blue line. Blue line. Look, all life matter is just bullshit. The fact is they don't give a damn about black people, and a lot of black people don't give a damn about themselves. A lot of black people don't give a damn about themselves. But the way forward for blacks in general, which include African Americans and blacks all over the world, to actually make a difference is to create their own. Is for blacks to come together and create their own institution that is as equivalent to all other institution, and you know march a way forward. Because depending, if you notice on this right, a lot of white people are out there doing whatever. As a matter of fact, George Floyd's brother condemns violence in the protests. But the violence that's happening in the protests is not just about George Floyd. It's about the amount of people who have been killed. And if you look at the amount of people who have been killed on both sides, includes blacks, whites, Spanish, so the entire American people are angry with the system. And somebody is pulling strings to make sure these rights happen all over the United States. But Africans on the continent must learn, because in order for Africa to change the condition of Africa and the condition of black people, Africans on the continent will have to work with Africans in the United States and Africans around the world to change the condition of black people. It's not white people that will help change the condition of black people. It's every black person all over the world. Every black person from the United States, from Brazil, from Canada, from all over part of the world, all the 6 continents, will have to work together and create a system that would echo across the entire world to change the condition of the black man or the black woman. I don't believe that black people should depend on white people in order to change their condition. If black people believe that they can do that, they will never be able to change the outcome. It must be through Pan-African revolution and through Pan-African thinking. Uh, I mean, the system has already been established by great minds, from minds like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. Malcolm X was working with other Africans to push forward in order to change the condition of black people in the world before he got killed. So that is a bold move that African Americans and Africans on the continent and across the entire world must do to change the condition. Depending on for whites to change the condition of a black man, that's a lie, because they do that, they will not gain anything out of it. White supremacy is about power, and it's about financial power. Financial power gives you the ability to control the world. All the resources is in the continent. The reason why you have France controlling 14 countries and the Commonwealth, United Kingdom, controlling 13 countries in Africa through the Commonwealth system benefits the white supremacy power. Now, if you kick out France from the 14 countries, at almost 500 billion US dollars will not be going to the IMF, and that will make the IMF rich. Same goes with the Commonwealth. They're getting a lot of finances through the 13 countries that is under the Commonwealth to really change what is happening to Black people in the United States and across the world. Black people must come together through Pan-African unity. There's a lot of misunderstanding between the continental Africans and the diasporan Africans because of the connection, because of the bridge that has been for so long, that lack of communication. But with the internet, a lot of work is being done. A lot of people, a lot of Pan-Africanists like Dr. Umar Johnson, like Floyd Lumumba, even the great what's his name from South Africa, the chairman of EFF, also a great Pan-Africanist. Even the girlfriend of George Floyd, who was a white lady, was saying the same thing, that, oh, the brother does not condemn violence. But violence is happening because many people have been murdered. Many people have been killed by the system, which is controlled by white people. Not just here in the United States, but all over the world. Black people have been murdered, and nothing is being done to change that condition. And this is going to continue. Even after the riots, the way they would do things to change what is to happen will even surprise the African Americans. But they must understand that it's not by depending on white people. You see a lot who are the ones who make up in those protests. A lot of them are white people. But do you think they're protesting because a black man was killed? No, they're protesting because they have their own reasons why they're protesting. They have their own reason why they're against the police. They have their own reason why they're against the government, which is why they have their own interests. And that is why they are protesting. Every 5 to 10 years, there's always something happening that the people are protesting against the government. But everyone that is protesting against the government have their own reasons why they're doing. So you might think that the white guy you see, or the white woman you see, is protesting because of the killing of George Floyd and the amount of people that have been killed. That's not true. They protesting, they have their own reasons why they're protesting, and they won't tell you why they are doing that. So African Americans will have to come together, create a platform for Black people, and connect that with the continent. Because how you doing, Hall? Because that is the future. Pan-Africanism is the future. Pan-African liberation, Pan-African unity, global Pan-African unity is the key to change the condition of a Black man all over the world. It's what is happening in the United States is interconnected with what is going on in Africa. And if we don't look at it keenly, if we don't look at it carefully, we will not be able to change anything. And then, white supremacy will continue. White supremacy controls Africa. Those leaders in Africa don't control Africa. When you control the economic power of a continent, you control the leaders. What happens when African leaders need money? They go to Europe, they go to United States, they go to even India at one point to get money. So whoever controls, but Africa is the most richest continent in the world. And why do they do that? Because they need the resources in Africa. And if and when the African diaspora can connect that to Africa to obtain the resources that is in Africa, it will give them the financial backup to change the outcome of what is happening in the United States, because everything is about money. You'll be able to change the outcome of what is happening in the United States and what is happening across the world. Without solid financial background, African Americans will not be able to gain the liberty, the freedom that they need. And Africa cannot survive without interconnecting with blacks in the United States and blacks across the entire world. We must change our condition. We must. One way or the other, we must change our condition. But it's only through Pan African unity. And I also said Pan African religion, because every African will have to be so passionate about Pan Africanism to the point where they see it as a religion, that they see it as their own new God. That is when you believe wholeheartedly in yourself as a black man, that you would not need a white person to do what you need to do to survive. That's when you see change. So as I was saying, we have to change what is happening with to change what is happening in the continent, to change what is happening in the United States, and to change what is happening across the entire world, the killing of black people, children, boys, it doesn't matter. To change that. To change what is happening inside Brazil, because a lot of black Brazilians have been killed by police, just like in the United States, just like in France, blacks have been killed, just like or in Europe in general, blacks have been killed by police. Not in a high rate like in the United States, but they have been that is happening. But to change that, we will need the financial backup. We will need to be able to create our own system of financial flow, and even create a government, a Pan African government, a global Pan African government where leaders of black men and women across the world will have a voice to speak boldly to any race or any country or any part of the continent. But to Africans on the continent, it's time to realize that Pan African revolution is the way forward. Many Africans depend and only accept that they are from a certain country in Africa, but they don't realize the significance of being an African. They always want to claim to a certain part. Either you're from Southern Cameroon, or you're from Cameroon, or you're from Namibia, or you're from some part of Kenya, whatever country that you're from, instead of seeing yourself as first as an African or as a black person. We must be able to identify ourselves and then identify ourselves through our community and accept the fact that the world does not want African people or black people. The whites in general, I'll say this, all whites are racist, or Indians are racist. Why? Because they want to survive and they will do whatever it takes to survive. And the easy pick are black people. Black people are easily picked. It doesn't matter where they are. In China, look at what happened in China, for example. China was even making a mockery of the United States about can breed because the Chinese have an issue with the United States trying to put their mouth in what is happening in Hong Kong. China wants to control Hong Kong, and the only one of the countries that's backing Hong Kong to have a true independence is United States and Britain. Why are they doing that? Because they also have their interests. But Hong Kong's also they also have the interest to becoming an independent country from China, and China is interested in controlling Hong Kong. So China was making a mockery at the United States and making a mockery at the president of the United States because of the riots that is happening. But the riot was meant to happen because people are frustrated with what is going on with the system, with the continuous killing of so many black people and no justice. So African Americans will have to burn down the whole United States to make the point clear that they want true liberation, true freedom, true independence, and equality. But will they get that? I don't think so. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be a bloody war. But I was surprised that the um, African Union actually spoke. That African Union actually spoke in the interest of what happened with George Floyd, because the African Union could not speak what is happening inside Africa. Look at like President Paul Biya and what he's doing inside Southern Cameroon. He's been killing people for over 4 years, and the African Union does not speak about that. They don't give a damn about that. But with what happened with George Floyd, they actually spoke about it. I'm surprised. It's hypocrisy, but then that's the African Union. The African Union is not strong enough. The African Union is part of the white supremacy power. They can't do that much. In order for much to be done across the world when it comes to black people, Africa must be liberated. Africa is not free. Africa and Africans are not free. Africans and Africa are not free. And black people in general all over the world are not free, which is why we get so much mistreatment from other races. We get so much mistreatment from other races. But the continental Africans must rise up and fight a true Pan-African revolution. Must take a lesson from what is happening inside the United States. You can never be truly free if you don't have the ability to fight for your independence and to fight for what is yours. So we must wake up. The continent, Africa is dragging behind with when it compares to the rest of the other Africans in the world because they have the most population, yet they are very slow to act. If they if we can actually push a pan-African revolution against all those leaders who have been in power for so long, 20, 30 years, and burn down certain areas in the continent of Africa to show our supremacy over the leadership of Africa, because the leadership of Africa is connected or interconnected with white supremacy power, meaning that they have a hold over the continent of Africa. Two different systems. Britain controls most of the Commonwealth, or if not all of the Commonwealth countries in Africa, and France controls 14 countries in Africa. Put that together, that's almost 27 or 28 countries. And two other systems, they influence the rest of the other countries. Africa must wake up because the rest of the world, where you have black people, are waking up, are fighting against the system that has oppressed them for almost 500 years. To get rid of leaders, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a bloody war, which is why I'm saying that Africans must learn from what African Americans are doing in the United States. In a way, the reason why the protest got to a riot is because other races are involved with which there are certain people who are pushing for certain agenda to make sure that the riot is very explosive. But Africans on the continent must join in if you truly want liberation, if you truly want independence. It's not gonna be all talk, it's gonna be action. You have leaders who have been in precedent for 20, 30 years, and they are there for that long. Why? Because countries in the West support that system, support those leaders. And because they support those leaders take what they have from the West and then punishes the citizens of Africa. Many Africans have been killed because of bad leadership who wants to stay in power for so long. Narcissists will kill me? My If you think so, what, I don't care. We all die sometimes. I'm not gonna be afraid to speak my mind. Life is war. I didn't say that. Sun Tzu said that from China. And they do whatever they have to survive, even using Africans and African leaders to survive. So if you say narcissist is gonna kill me, so what? I'm not supposed to live forever. Every human being dies. Look for justification. If you haven't noticed, the world is controlled by governments, and government through military and police kill people. The police in state to state, they kill people day in and day out. The military in the country goes out in other countries and kill people. So life is war. We're gonna die eventually. Might as well fight for something you believe in than to die like a dog. So as I was saying, Africa must rise. and join African Americans to fight against white supremacy, because white supremacy controls the world. And on white supremacy is the top, but under white supremacy, you have Arab supremacy, you have Indian supremacy, you have, you know, Chinese supremacy. Why? Because the Chinese are fighting to make sure they are on top, which is why they're going head on. Even Iran is fighting to be on top, which is what it's a dark world. Period. Africans, global Africans, want to survive. They will have to come together, unite through Pan African revolution and Pan African unity, and even Pan African religion. The religious system in Africa and across the world, when it comes to black people, it's a system that is supported by whites, and they use it to control us, to suppress us, to subdue us. Arabs do the same thing. Muslim is not an African religion, it's an Arab religion. They brought it in Africa. Christianity is not an African religion, it's the Western religion. They brought it in Africa, and they have used it to subdue and control us. American system is to give comfort to majority white people and racism, poverty to black people. Taxes are given for the work for well-being of white people to calm situations. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But have to, in order for blacks to change the racism and to change white supremacy in the world, not just in the United States. Because let me tell you something. The riots and protests may think that something will come out of it. I don't think anything will come out of it. All lives matter. I don't give a fuck about white lives or any other lives. I'm a pro black Pan Africanist. So I know for a fact whites don't give a damn about my life. That is absolutely true. I know for a fact Indians don't give a fuck about my life. I know for a fact I have come to the understanding and accepting that I'm for me as a black person. And in order to survive, I must link with other African or black people. Because you survive through group. You grouping yourself with other races in order to survive will take you this far, but not all the way. It's when Africans learn or blacks learn to work as a team, then you will see the light. You see change constantly. I mean, how often have African Americans have riots and protests? It didn't start. Protests didn't start today, but how much has changed? Not that much. Even with this protest, I don't think anything will change. The whites will find a way to control the outcome of the rights and push forward with their agenda. And then blacks will be back again at the same circle, trying to start another right because nothing is going to change. But to change anything is only through unity of black people. The path is clear. Pan Africanism is the way forward. Pan Africanism is Africans' avenue to success. Without unity, Africans and blacks all over the world have no future. Without unity among black people in the world, blacks will be killed in Brazil, blacks will be killed in the United States, blacks will be killed in Africa through the leadership of Africa, which is interconnected with the white supremacy. You don't understand the concept of racism. It's stupid. Racism is about power, period. And to get power, you need money. Right? You may say I'm fast as fuck. I don't give a damn. I just see things for what it is. I see things for what it is. To survive, blacks will have to be united. That is the key. All over the world. And they will also have to create a power base and a power structure that will connect all black people. That's the only way to survive. To depend on whites to survive, yeah, it'll take you this far. You will never gain true independence. Africans, blacks all over the world will never gain true independence because they're dependent on another race. Racism is power. White supremacy is power. Whites use racism to achieve their agenda and gain financial gains so that they can be on top. 1%. When you look at the 1%, how many rich white people do you have? It's about money. I'm racist? Derek, you think I'm racist? I don't give a damn. White people are racist. They kill people. They enjoy killing people. I'm racist. I don't kill another motherfucker. I didn't start a fucking right. I just see what is happening and understand the perspective of why it is happening. It is happening because a group of white people who have the financial abilities have controlled the world resources to be stay rich, while majority of the black people stay poor. Simple as that. For blacks to survive and gain true independence, they will have to unite. Rich black. How many rich blacks do you have, you stupid idiot? How many rich blacks do they have in the world? Not that many. Not that many. And how did they get that rich? It's because another white person allowed them, give them the chance to do that, which means that they're still being controlled by others. It's a system. Man, whites are racist, period. They were the one who came to Africa, took blacks out of Africa and turned them into slaves. They're the one who used colonization to colonize other African countries and take their own resources. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Derek? Don't think I don't know my history. I know my history. Britain was going around the entire world carving the continent. France was doing the same thing. And how was America created? Through the same system. And when they couldn't take it, they decided to fight and kick out the British. So what's wrong? So what's wrong if blacks want to stand and gain true independence, which they have not actually gained since whatever? You collecting welfare paid for white taxes? What welfare? What are you talking about? Man, please, I'm wasting my time with this idiot. Welfare? What welfare? I'm not collecting any welfare. I work. God damn it. I don't even get food stamp. I hate that shit. I work. So please, Mr. Derek, you could take that shit somewhere else. I don't give a damn. How I pay my rent has nothing to do with you, stupid motherfucker. How I pay my rent has nothing to do with you. Simple. I work. How I work, it doesn't concern you. But as I was saying before, this stupid idiot wants to be saying bullshit. The riots happened because, well, many people were frustrated. All lives matter. Dude, who were the one who said blacks are three quarters of a human being? It wasn't a black person, it was a white person. I didn't write that down. White people did that. All human life is equal. Man, that's what you say. All lives are equal, no? Are more equal than others. Some have more power to control and kill. Look at the amount of wars that have been fought across the entire world. Why? Because somebody wants to be rich and they're killing somebody to get it. Whites are good for that. So we are all humans. Nah, man, we're not all humans. Some people are more humans than others. Some people's humanity are more human than others, or while others are just murderers and killers. We are all equal and all deserve rights. Well, that's why people are fighting to get all the rights that they deserve because they feel unfair. They feel cheated on their human rights, on their God given rights. When you have countries that are powerful taken from countries that are weak, and you say we are all equal. Equal in what way? Anyway, Mr. Derek, I'm about to be out of here anyway. Till next time. Afri- Africans must equally humans. Equally humans, huh? Well, since we are all equals, as you claim to be, blacks should not be killed by white police officers yearly. So you take that to your white police officers that kill black people here in the United States and across the world. They go across different nations and kill people in wars. So you take that to your white police officer and your white military that goes around kill people so that they could become rich. Whites get killed. White girl ki- How many whites have been killed? How many white police officers have been killed? How many? White police officers are killed an average 1,000 lives every year. An average 1,000 lives every year. And you talking about whites get killed. Whites get killed because they want to put their nose in everybody else's business. They put their nose in everybody's businesses to in order to get rich from people's own resources. So don't tell me whites get killed because when you start a war, start killing people, it's not a black matter. So are you here to try to silence what I'm trying to say as a black person, as an African? Interesting. See, Lee Candyman understands, but Derek refuses to understand white police brutality against black people in the world. And look at the fact in many Arab nations, blacks are maltreated. Acid are being thrown on them. Some even push over story buildings to their death. Why? Simply because they're black. And you tell me the white will get killed too. Well, white get affected, which is why if you look at the right, the most people who are causing destruction are white people, not blacks. If you look at the right, the people who are looting places, looting buildings and offices and business places are white, not black, Derek. You've seen the right. The people who are causing mayhem, destruction are the whites. Why? Because it's in them. They are naturally violent people. They went across the entire world killing people for 500 years, taking their land, and and you say they're not violent? Why do most people speak English in the world? Because Britain decided to colonize and kill many of them and force them to speak their language, including you speaking writing this language. But then again, you're white, so what facts are you fucking talking about? The majority of people who are looting and causing destruction are whites in the right. Get your facts straight. Majority. So, but simple as this, at the end of this, I don't think African Americans will achieve true liberation, true independence, because the white man will find a way to spin this around, as always. Man, I'm not color, I'm black. I don't know who's colored. If you don't want to see me as black, see me as African. I'm not colored. People say, oh, colored. What the heck is colored? Colored is multiple colors. My color is black. I'm not colored. My color is black. So don't tell me I'm colored. Colored in what way? Hey, man. Many things are happening that would not benefit African Americans, but will benefit non African Americans. Hey, people actually say they don't see color or they don't see race are the most racist people in the world because they choose not to see who you are, but want to see something else. New Hampshire is on fire? Hmm. Hey, the protest continues. Whites are burning down places. Whites are burning down places across the United States. But I don't give a shit either. The protest is gonna continue regardless. But Africans, we have a huge role to play to change the outcome of our condition. We must stop depending on other races and start depending on our race. I believe in complete black superiority and black power because the world is about power. If you don't have it, somebody else has it, and that person is controlling you who don't have it. So Africans must rise up. The African youths must rise up. You must change the outcome of your future. And to change the outcome of your future, you must fight back against any and every that stands the way of the future of African people. And that includes African leaders who have been sitting in power for 10,000, for 10, 20, 30 years and keep killing people to stay in power. French Cameroonians, you claim you are against the sardine movement, the anti-sardine movement that you have started, but you will have to do more action and less protesting. It's time to start taking the fight to the French Cameroon government and give them hell. Look at what is happening inside the United States. Take a lesson from them and take the fight to Paul Biya. And that goes to every African nation that has a leader for over 10, 20 years and does not want to step down from power because France or Britain is making sure that they stay in power so that they could continue to loot Africa for their own benefit. It's tit for tat. Life is war. To survive, you must understand the art of war and fight. Southern Cameroonians, there's so much division within Southern Cameroonians who are fighting for independence. That division is slowing down the momentum of the revolution. And many, 16,000 Southern Cameroonians have been killed. When are we going to learn that we must be united to fight against the enemy known as La République de Cameroon? Africans all over the world, we must rise. Rising as one people to stand against tyranny that has been caused by whites, Indians, Asians, Arabs who don't give a damn about black people. We must fight this war because everybody wants to survive in their own way and will do whatever it takes. If that includes colonization, includes slavery, includes police brutality and killing of Africans and black people all over the world, we must stand up and rise against tyranny. Whites say all lives matter, but they are the one killing blacks. So I don't give a fuck about what they think or say. I am me, King Echo, the Pan-African king, the spiritual leader of Africa. Life is war. And war is the way to regaining our independence. We were never free people in Africa. So long as others who don't look like us control our economic power control how we live our lives. To that, I say goodbye. This is King Ichu. I'm signing off.